Perfect, okay.
Okay. Just a glitch.
I'd like to welcome everybody out this evening. So I'd like to call a meeting to order for the Danieltown Council meeting for March 6, 2017. Isn't this considered a joint meeting, correct?
It is.
It'll be a joint meeting with the Planning Commission as well. So I'd like to once again welcome everyone. Tonight's a little, this doesn't happen very often, but myself and our engineer are going to have to be leaving here in about 20 minutes to a different meeting that could not get postponed. So Eric will be running the meeting for a little while, and then when we get back, we'll continue on and schedule. But if you see some of us leave, we have to we'll be right back. Usually as we start out, always number one, public comment concerning any issue not on the agenda. Is there anything that's not on this agenda that someone would like to bring up or discuss? Comment on it?
I have one.
Okay.
Down the road, I know we got a full plate for the next few months probably, but I think it would be helpful for us to put together a duties list. I looked on, I've had people ask me, well, what does your planner do? Or what do you do as a council person? Or what does your planning commission do? And we don't know unless I just haven't found it. And I would suggest maybe, I looked at what Heber City does, and they have planning commission bylaws, and then they have rules of order and procedure for the city council. And they're really good documents. And I wonder if we want to look at these down the road and maybe have something so we know what each other's doing. You know, if someone comes to me with a business plan or a house plan, do I send them to Eric or can I send them right on to Ryan? And stuff like that I think would be helpful. So that's just a comment. And I'll give this to Glenn. And it's on Heber City's website if you all want to look at it.
Okay. Thank you. There are some good documents. There are some, there's some good stuff to have, and it takes a lot to implement, but it's a good
It is a
program.
lot to implement. I know we're slow, but something.
We're not dead yet, so we're just slow. Okay, appreciate that comment, Ryan. Excuse me, John. Turn time over to Ryan Starks with Wasatch County Development Office. He's going to go over the enterprise zone with us again and talk about renewing that zone.
Should I stand somewhere?
Yep. And introduce yourself just for the record.
How's that?
You gotta sell it to them.
Can I sell it to you? Good citizens of Daniel. So my name is Ryan Starks. I'm with the Heber Valley Office of Economic Development and Tourism. Our responsibilities really are to promote the Heber Valley, and that's all of Wasatch County and its cities and towns. It's a place for visitors to come, and it's a place where businesses can grow. As such, there's a program called the Utah Enterprise Zone, and it's a tax credit program for qualifying businesses within designated areas. It's a program that's good for 5 years, and every 5 years we need to come renew it. It's hard to believe that I was here 5 years ago. I just can't even believe that.
And you don't have gray hair.
I'm starting to get them, Chip. They're coming in. So the way the program works, rural Utah has its struggles in attracting businesses, or at least helping existing businesses grow and expand their operations. So the state has created this enterprise zone program for rural counties and for rural towns and cities. And so Wasatch County has one, Heber City has one, Midway City has one, Charleston, and the town of Daniel as well. And if you're a qualifying business within that designated area, you may participate in the program if you invest into new equipment in order to grow your business. If you hire new employees, there are certain things that if you do as a business, you can submit paperwork to the state and they will redeem tax credits as a way to kind of incent you to grow your business here in small town America. So I have, maybe you have it in your packets as well, but I've just printed out a copy of the existing zone for the town of Daniel. This is what we agreed upon 5 years ago. Casey, how are you? Good. How are you doing?
Sit and share.
And this just tells you a little bit about the program and what it can and can't be used for.
Thank you. You're welcome. Do you need another copy for this?
So as you see, mostly on the job creation tax credits and the other tax credits, it highlights some of the areas where a business can benefit. Now, please note that this isn't for all businesses. So retail is excluded, so is construction. But if you produce some type of good, and it requires some type of manufacturing of sorts, you can then potentially qualify. So that's the type of business.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please do.
We have a really hot topic right now in our town with home businesses. Is this something that a home business could do, or does it have to be in the enterprise zone?
So on that map, you'll see the highlighted areas in red. If a home is located in that, then it could. But if it's not,
then they can't take advantage of
that's
this.
right.
So what is the purpose of renewing it every 5 years? Are there changes that are to get done in some of them? That's what it is.
Yeah, and I know over the past just 3 or 4 years, it's changed. The scope of it's changed quite a bit. The legislature's changed who can and can't participate. Unfortunately, the town of Daniel still can. And it's just to make sure that there's still commitment from the town level. And I submit an application to the state. The governor's office approves it, and then they send that to the state tax commission. And it's on the records for 5 years. And it's just to make sure that it's not an indefinite thing.
It seems to me like this is actually stronger than it was before. Has any of that changed? It seems like there's better benefits.
I don't believe much has changed in 5 years as far as the actual benefit side goes, but
Okay.
from 5 years ago to the previous 5 years, I think there were some changes. Yeah. So no financial commitment from the town of Daniel. This is a state program. They just need your endorsement. And then I house that on our economic development website for the county. As I meet with businesses, I share this information with them. And it's a way to kind of help grow our economy.
So, any questions for Ron from the council? Would we like to maybe have this as an agenda item, talk about the zone, keep it the same, pass the resolution tonight? Take any comments from the council on what they'd like to do?
There's a resolution in your package that we're not to business.
May I say one thing? That just is, Governor Kerber in his inaugural address, or his State of the State address a month ago, said that he announced a new initiative, and that's for rural Utah to create, I can't remember if it's 25 or 50,000 new jobs over the next 4 years. This is one of the ways to do that. Right now, we have about 73% of our workforce leaving Wasatch County to go to work in Summit County or Salt Lake or even Utah County. And so I know one of our objectives is to create industry in a way that allows people to stay home so they don't have to commute. And as part of this initiative, I think this is a real tool that we can utilize.
So I have to ask you, who in the county is using it?
Yeah, so we have several in Midway, a dozen in Heber, a few in the county. I think there's 1 or 2 in Charleston. And then we're still looking for some Daniels businesses to utilize this. Not all qualify.
Question, does a service business fall into that category?
Typically not.
No.
I wish it did, I really do, because it's a great program, but typically you have to produce some type of goods.
Okay.
Do you have a resolution, just in case?
I do, there's unprepared, so we can certainly open up to the council if you want to discuss it a little further, or if you feel comfortable on renewing the applications. I don't know of any downside. I know that it is meant for manufacturing and there are tax credits and you have to fit in the certain slots to be able to utilize it, but I don't know that there's any downsides to anybody. They just, you know, they can either utilize that, if they're in that zone, they can utilize that program. My only question to myself and to us is, do we want to make these zones bigger or smaller? And is that something we can do?
Absolutely.
So, you know, I don't know why we would want to make it bigger or smaller. That's just a question I'd like to bring up. And
So Heber City 3 years ago had a zone, and they said, you know, we actually want to expand it to encompass all of the commercial zones for the city, not just certain pockets. So anywhere there's a commercial zone in Heber City, there's also now an enterprise zone.
I think we're about the same.
That's the same for
It
us.
seems like as of 5 years ago, that was the case. I don't know if you've expanded the commercial zone or not.
Working on it hard though.
Good.
We don't have anybody using this right now, right? Any of our businesses?
Not that I'm aware, but businesses don't have to go through me, they can go
Sure.
through their accountant.
Sure. Yeah.
okay, any other questions for Ryan? If not,
How does this tie into your master commercial and industrial map that you've been working on?
Good question. So if I can just kind of address that,
I don't mean to cloudy.
no, that's great. That's great. I want to make sure that what Daniel's doing is kind of in line with what the county's doing, or at least there's some collaboration, or Midway or Heber. And so recently I commissioned our GIS team to create a master countywide map that incorporates all commercial areas for Wasatch County, Heber City, Midway City, Charleston, town of Daniel. And now, the next step, I think, will be to have an interlocal meeting and go through a prioritization process where we say, what is it that we want in the valley or don't want? Because there's certainly a lot of opinions. Do we want more Burger King? Do we want more?
We know there's a lot of opinions.
Swiss-themed small businesses? Do we want manufacturing companies? We kind of go through this process to where we're all on the same page, and hopefully that's something that we can go through this year. But this does complement it, regardless of the city or town. I think this is a great recruitment tool or expansion tool.
So based on that, do you have a copy of Heber City? Is it about our enterprise zone? Is there anything that's cooperative? I mean, we won't look at this for 5 more years. It would be kind of nice to see theirs and see if we're complementing each other on our
Yeah,
enterprise zone.
I could provide a copy of that. It's on our website. I don't have it.
Oh, is it?
The website's gohebervalley.com. There's a tab called Economic.
It's just been redone, I heard.
Yes, correct.
Okay. I was just, I thought, you know, the tie-in is,
well, with the new legislature stuff,
well, even here, they've done that in the county. They've tried to put together a master commercial industrial map. And so,
that's going to tie with the new state.
well, I don't know how it's going. That's why I asked. I haven't hit the RPO yet.
So are you saying, Eric, you might want to see that before we
I
address
just
this
want
resolution?
to see how that ties into us, if we complement each other,
Yeah.
if there's something else. Remember, they had the annexation out on Highway 40, and I sent them a letter regarding the sprawling of Main Street and what Heber City's plans were up that way, to which it seemed like that they definitely didn't care if there was sprawling going up. So that kind of affects us on our side of the road. I mean, we're just a road away, so I didn't know how that was progressing.
So that piece that they recently did, the Heber City, help me out here.
Big Heiner?
No, I'm drawing a blank. When you take a piece of land, you incorporate it into a
Annex?
annexation, thank you. That triangular piece right there at Mill Road that just went into the city, that is now included in there. My recommendation would be, if at all possible, to pass it tonight. If you want time to study it, that's fine.
I was just going to make a comment. I think that maybe there might be a few thoughts that I don't know if it's either for or against as much as do we want to either maybe change something or not. So I just like to get a direction
But
from anyone on
from
the
what I
council.
understand, we can adjust the boundaries whenever we want to.
So I could come back in 6 months and we
Oh,
can do that, or
you would have
I
to
could
be
come back.
here, or?
Yeah, just
just
because I submit the application to the
Oh,
state.
okay.
Heber City's done that, and others certainly have throughout Utah.
Well,
not a whole lot
Because
more.
everything that we've already
already
got
there.
is already there. Seeing a change from what we've already got listed here. Is there, possible commercial businesses that we've already got are gonna be in this area? We're not gonna take anything over town, inside manufacturing to
So what we'd like to do, we'd like to think on it and chew on this at another council meeting, or is everyone feel comfortable and want to pass this resolution this evening?
Well, I think that we're actually past our 5 years, is that correct?
We are, but as long as it happens within 2017, it's retroactive back to January.
Is it? Okay, so we're not in jeopardy of, because I noticed that the legislature this year, there was some new requirements for those people that don't have an established enterprise zone.
We're okay.
We're okay.
I know the governor's office is wanting it sooner than later, but it's just more of a formality.
So I'm okay with that, and I think the town has the ability to change that whenever they want.
I agree. So the chair will entertain, any other question for Ryan before he go? Okay, thank you, Ryan. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt a resolution, DR 2017-03-06A. I'll read it, as the resolution goes. Effective date March 6, 2017, short title, resolution authorizing application for the renewal of a state-sponsored enterprise zone. Resolution, whereas Danieltown and Wasatch County desire to encourage and promote the creation of jobs and sustainable wages within the town. And whereas the state of Utah, by and through the Governor's Office of Economic Development, empowers and authorizes rural counties to create an enterprise zone. And whereas said zones are established to encourage community investment in industrial and commercial districts of towns to stimulate and strengthen economic development, individual job growth, and competitive wages. And whereas Danieltown deems such involvement as an investment in its future and important to the continued growth, well-being, and economic strength of the town, and as an integral component to create employment and living wage opportunities in the town. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved by the town council, the legislative body of Daniel, Utah, that Daniel intends to seek approval from the Governor's Office of Economic Development for the renewal of said enterprise zone by adopting a resolution said application, and hereby approves the same as attached hereto. Any discussion? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any last discussion?
Maybe just quick, is this under Title 17 that the town would get the authority to set this up, or is there special circumstances from the state?
I'm not sure. I think it just goes straight to the state. They keep it on file. Sometimes they'll call and ask me, hey, do we still have this? Or hey, we lost this map. Or even from, accountants and things, I'll get phone calls. But I think that's all it is. I think it's just a state statute that establishes the zone.
I'm guessing under Title 17 is how the town would get the authority to do that.
You think, but I've been wrong before we have. Over.
There's a good question. Okay, that was only discussion.
Okay, we have a first and a second, and we have discussion, any other discussion? And if not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, resolution passes.
Now, if I can just get a copy from Lynn, just sometime in the next little bit.
You probably want the signed copy, I can give you a blank one. But you probably want the signed one, correct?
The signed one would be great.
Okay, so you just take that with you. You know what we passed, and then should be either
Okay.
copy.
Thank you for your time.
So the other Ryan and myself will go to the other meeting, so apologize for a minute, and we'll turn the time over to Eric, and then we'll see you as soon as we can. Eric, the meeting's all yours.
Motion to adjourn.
Everybody,
I forgot you're supposed to move to
I don't know if we got 2 meetings pushed on us the same night from the state, so we have to attend one really quick and go with that, so.
Good luck.
Okay, we'll just keep right on moving then. I got number 2 out of the way. Mars family's here. Do you want to go now, or do you want to wait till they come back? This is up to you. Do you want, we have 2 council members that are going to this other meeting.
I would
Are
love
you
to.
able, are you able to vote on it with you gone, or do you wanna, you guys tell me what's best.
Well, what he's done to be is really nice to you because it's better to have everyone listen. I definitely want to hear,
Okay.
hear but I can certainly read that.
So they'll be gone till 20 till, is your, probably 10 till, huh?
Yeah, our appointment's at 6:40 and then depending on how long that presentation takes.
So I guess well, I've given you that courtesy, what do you want to do?
If everybody would like to hear it, then I'm all right waiting till later, so.
So I'm, one's gone, no, I guess there's 4 and I'm the only one. I would like to hear, but
Okay.
if you want to go on, I'll take the pamphlet.
No, I'm all right waiting for you.
Thank you.
That's okay, council, right? We jump around a little bit? Okay. Kelly?
Hey guys, I'm Kelly Christensen, I'm the district's director for solid waste. And I don't know if you probably noticed the changes if you pay your bill through the window. They split our departments, we pulled Valerie in our office, try to pay at that window and it does not work. So what we're doing is we're gonna build onto our building, we're gonna add a bathroom. So we'll have 2 bathrooms and just a sink, and we're on that old Anderson well. It's been there for years, and I'd like to be hooked onto Daniel's water. And in hindsight, when we do that, it'd probably be a good time we get Public Works, get their meter going and mine at the same time. Because I know they're not metered on their water. Just food for thought, because I know Gary Walton's been down a few times. Pardon?
You're wanting 2 meters then?
Well, they'll have their own meter. Theirs hasn't worked for a couple of years, and I know they've been down wondering when to do it, because they're gonna have to shut down and drain the line. And I'm sure when I hook onto my building, that might be a good time for you guys to address that.
What size of water connection did you need for your new addition? Is it with just the bathroom, that's like a.
There's, yeah, there'll be 2 bathrooms and a kitchen sink, which really don't get used too much.
Fire suppression?
Nope, not yet. We're just barely getting our building done there, and we actually put up a firewall, but still in the future, when I talk to you guys, I'd still like to have a fire plug over there, because I've had 3 fires in the last 3 years. And it would be nice to have on tap water if you need it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just like to get off that old well, because I know one of these days it's just gonna give up.
Yeah.
So I don't think I understand. You're talking about the county transfer station, right?
Mhm.
And they have a water hookup.
No, Public Works does.
Public Works, this is separate, solid waste.
So
I'm solid
just
waste,
have to be
where
at
we
this
weigh the
kind of
trucks and
place.
everything.
To the scale house.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, the well's clear on the other side, adjacent to the property you lease, and then it's all underground to me, and it's just one of these days, I'm sure it's just gonna hang, so I just figured, well, we're building onto our building and redoing all that, it'd be a good time to get on some good water.
So, Kim's on our water department, he's here.
Well, I was just gonna address the county, ask them what it is and how do we handle this with the county. Now, originally, the county put the 8-inch line down 3,000 south and a number of fire hydrants, which saved the town of Daniel a lot of money. We've been asked, Kelly, the water department of Daniel has been asked by the council to meter the fire hydrants. They fill the trucks up down at the county.
And that would be through Brandon Clough.
Right.
That would be Public Works, that's who you
Right.
need to talk to about
And
that.
you're right about that meter. It has not worked for a couple of
Yeah,
years.
no, that was one of them quick.
And we've been waiting to do that so that we could drain the line and tie it in possibly with the fire sprinkler
Mhm.
system that you want to put
Yeah.
in there.
But
So I think it would be grand to put these projects all together.
Okay,
And take care of your meter, the old existing meter, and even take care of the fire hydrant that the county uses.
you bet.
But then I have to ask the council, do we charge the new account that Kelly's got? Does it have the same circumstances as the county? Is it the same type of entity? I believe it's $90 a month that they charge now.
Whatever it is,
I think it's 9,000.
there you go. Your garbage bill will be going up.
You already did?
Do they have to pay the hookup fee also?
They did not pay a hookup fee on the other one.
Like what you just said, how much the pipe they put in, I think was kind of that, they washed it because of.
I think Kent, if I remember back, I think he said it was just shy of $1 million.
Yeah, I don't. But anyway, whatever needs to be, I'll do it.
Okay, so
Play the game right.
where do you plan on coming off of the line and hooking in?
Well, probably right where, I mean, it comes in and comes right into the building, so I don't know if I just need to come down or if I need to come through the parking lot, whichever's easiest. Because I could probably, well, no, because their meter's right there, so I don't know how that, I'd probably have to be on this side
You have to be on this side of that.
and then come straight across into mine and put the meter wherever you guys want the meter.
So it'd come prior to that other meter that's installed in that 6-inch line, I'm thinking?
It's a big line.
Yeah. Which is that meter, right? Is 6-inch meter?
But I know the line's an 8-inch, but we can
Oh,
reduce
is
that
it?
to whatever. Yeah, it goes into the buildings.
That meter is down 8 feet in the ground.
It is.
So that's a pretty deep dig to start with.
Yeah, they kind of built that up. But if
But
he's
that's
coming
okay.
in prior to that, it will be less. If he's coming before that meter, it'll be less, won't be down quite so far.
Well, what we should do is get with Kelly and just look at a rough draft on that. And, you know, try to get the shortest route for him and yet have it work for the town also. And I think it's a good idea to put his meter out towards the street.
Yeah, I need mine, and that way I'm on my own, and you guys can bill me for what I use.
Okay, all right.
Could it be the county using their equipment and dig out the trench and dig to it?
I'm sure Brandon will. He'll just bill my department for doing it, but I'm sure we'll use the county.
Yeah.
You might want to get a bid.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, things have changed since Berg left, I'm here to tell you, man.
Uh-oh.
Kelly, another thing you should be aware of, I think it'd be a good idea if we had a waste cut off at the end of the line.
To drain
When
it.
we start dealing with the sprinkling system,
Mhm.
at the end of that line, I think it'd be a real good idea if we had some kind of a drain on
Okay.
that. So that if we try to isolate those 2 meters, we could possibly do that and then drain the lines. That's been one of the holdups, is
Yeah.
we're trying to drain all that water.
Okay, you know what, you guys just tell me what needs to be done, and I
Right
don't know
now,
if you wanna use your guy to engineer it, it don't matter to me.
the only thing that I know that we can do is pump the water out of that meter box, because
The first time,
I'm not
yeah.
aware of the drain.
No, there's not,
But that,
and there's a lot of water right there.
yeah, that'd be a good idea too.
But, I mean, for the first time, if we had to, we need to drain it into that meter and put a bilge pump on and suck everything out. And then, like I say, we can put a waste valve on or whatever needs done.
When are you moving on it?
We're doing the drawings up right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a problem with people paying their bills. You got little old grandma wanting to balance her checkbook sitting on scales, and I got contractors sitting out on the road, you know. So we're gonna do a drive-up window right there so that people can still pay their bill and have different access to keep them out of my yard. Because it turned into a nightmare.
Who's your engineer?
Right now, it's Valerie's daughter's doing it through Civic? Is it Civic? Yeah.
Why don't you and her sit down and do a proposed,
Well, I've got most of it drawn up right now. I just wanted to make sure I could get the water.
Yes,
And then as we move on, then I'll get back on
You'll
the
get it.
agenda and show you guys.
I think we're all on board for
Yeah,
that.
well, you'll get it.
Yeah, I'm way ahead of when I need the water. I just wanted to make sure
Okay, all right.
Very
that we
good.
can do it. We can do that, and I'll, you know, when I get plans, and then I'll get back on a meeting and bring everything to you.
Okay.
See where we're gonna go.
Anybody got any questions for me? Okay.
Hey, man.
You like it, but it's all the way apart.
Oh, yeah, I gotta keep the garbage people happy, right? See you, bud.
On this?
What's your phone?
Kelly?
Yeah, I just paid $500 for that. I guess I ought to.
You're welcome.
You almost had the week off.
Yeah, that's a droid.
Okay, item number 5, Storm Haven.
Unless Kim has any other municipal issues.
That's true, we're still on that. You got any municipal?
What one are we on?
Number 4?
Oh,
And Danny
as
needed.
that windstorm we had, like any other windstorm in the town, it was 40, 50 miles an hour. We've had problems with the trees pump house where the line comes down through. And whether that branch comes over and touches two lines, or whether the lines are tangled, we're not quite really sure. I think it's the trees, but today, I went up to the tower, or up to the pump house, and the electricity was off. Luckily, the tank was pretty much full, but it had tripped a fuse out on 3000 South. So Heber Light and Power came out, put the new fuse in, and they also said that on their agenda, they have a tree pruning crew that is supposed to be out there. So hopefully, that'll do it. If not, I don't know, we might have to get permission from, I believe that runs down through Tom Rollins' property.
Well, it's down the border. And for what it's worth, they were out this fall, and they were wanting to trim the trees on the road, and I said, where you need to trim is going back to the mountain. And they said, oh, we'll get back to you, and they never came back. So it's very much that if they can work from the road in their bucket truck, and it's not hard to do, they're happy to do it. But if they actually have to go back and figure out what needs to be done to actually meet the specifications, they don't want us to do it.
Could we take those trees off of the stump if we wanted?
Oh, there's so many of them, Kim, I don't think, they've been trimmed over and over and over again. And the line, I think actually the poles are set on the kitchen's side of the fence. And getting down in there, there's no way. It goes down between Kitchen's property and Von Glasgow's property, and there's no way to get a truck down there. So they all have to go down there manually with saws and ladders and everything. They just don't want to do it. And it has done this before. In fact, I was down there one time where the trees had grown up through the wires, and the wires were touching the trees, and the trees were on fire. They were literally smoking. It was just amazing that, you know, the power company doesn't take more of a look at that line and keep it up to spec.
Well,
Would that
here's
be
the-
part of our fire project?
Here's the dilemma then. Every time the wind gets up to 40, 50 miles an hour, we're gonna lose power at the pump house.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to come out and replace the fuse, unless we can get Heber Light and Power to get those trees trimmed.
So are we talking on the south side of the creek or on the north side of the creek?
It would be the south side.
South side of the creek?
Yeah, the north, well, there is some on the north side as well. But,
And the majority's on the other side?
you know, Eric, it's probably split.
Because I think Vaughn would let us go down there and use his side, which is accessible.
The problem with going back there on Vaughn's side is he's got all those risers right there. You can't drive over those. And
Right.
if you're not driving over the risers, then you're driving over his crop, and he doesn't want that. We've faced that before, and I don't blame Vaughn. I think,
No.
you know, I think that's reasonable. But it's just, there's no way to get a bucket truck back there to do that. And you can't do it from Kitchen's side. It's too thick. There's no way to get a truck through there at all. And they've asked if they can go through my property to get back there, and then they go back there and look at it and say, well, we can't reach it from here either. So, I mean, it gets to where they just have to simply go back there with saws and ladders, and that's a lot more work than driving a bucket truck in there and going up in the bucket truck.
Yes, it is.
But I would agree, Kim, if it's possible to take those down to the stump, that would be the better way to go, but they're so prolific back there that that's only good for a couple of years before it's all grown back anyhow.
I think what we probably should do is talk to Vaughn, see if the town maybe can reimburse him for what crops would ruin getting those trucks down there, because it would be a lot faster if you get the truck in. And I know we have access down across the creek over to the east side of that pond, the Daniel irrigation pond.
With the amount of snow that's back there right now, Eric, you're not gonna
Right,
get anything back
right.
there. It would have to be earlier in the summer.
Yeah,
or-
later.
Yeah,
for sure.
or after his crop is off.
It sounds like it's an ongoing problem. that we
It is,
should
and it's-
address them. Because when they go in, they're instructed 10 feet away from the lines. So those crews are instructed at 10 feet. And so that should take a few years to grow back in.
I don't think you're gonna get 10 feet in there. That's all on Kitchen's property, and it's gonna be tough. I mean, it might be doable, but that's a huge project. If they're to open that space up 10 feet, it's huge.
Well, don't some of the independent tree removal people have booms that reach out 100 feet.
So does this crew. They have some big boom trucks. It's- Getting the access in, I think, is the biggest problem. I
Yeah,
think-
but that's what I'm trying to say. If you're in that guy's field and you've got a boom that reaches 100 feet,
You
we
can get over the
surely
fence.
can get those things.
You can get over the fence, yeah. It's thick though. It's thick down there. There's no doubt about it.
But isn't that Heber Light and Power's problem?
Well, it is. Well, obviously it's not. You're up there telling them about it.
No, they have told me that they intend to get to that.
Right.
And how they do that is kind of their problem, is it not? I
Well,
mean,
unless
we
they
pay
don't-
the power bill.
Unless they don't do it. I mean, we have a franchise.
Oh, and then we get to go up and put fuses in every time the wind blows.
Well, Kim, this was probably September when the guy was out.
Well, we have a franchise agreement with them and for these very items that the town has issues with. And if they don't want to deal with them, we have set up a guardian ad item we can go to that's supposed to buffer the complaints before we end up. So that's what this whole franchise agreement was, that we would get the same service as everybody else in the county. So if we're brushing up against something that maybe they don't want to do, then maybe it's time to pull the franchise agreement and see where we're headed. So that was supposed to protect the town.
I was really clear with him when he was out, and he was from the tree company, and never came back, never called me, never even went down there. I told him how to get down through Kitchen's property, got in his truck and went the other way.
So I'm not unfamiliar with the kitchens and what access there. I do know Vaughn, so he's been cooperative. as
So
far
that's
as-
gonna be just following through with the.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, if the town does a cooperation
Yeah.
with them to get them into access.
Even from Kitchen's side, a 100-foot boom wouldn't do it. It's gonna have to be done from Vaughn's side. And a boom could get you over across the fence, across the property line to do it. But, you know, it's just getting something that Vaughn is acceptable with, that, you know, you can't drive over his risers, that's no question, but,
Right.
and getting back to there, there's no way to get there the way he's got his field planted without driving over some of his field and killing some of his crop.
Right. But then again, you run into, obviously, right-of-way issues.
My understanding also, that the phone line that goes back and serves the water building never did get hung up on the poles because it was so hard for the phone company to get back there. My understanding is it still droops down off the pole, runs along the dirt, and then goes back up the pole because of that same issue.
Isn't that what you're saying, we should bury it?
Well, what I propose then is to let me get with Heber Light and Power, and then see what they truly want to do or intend to do. And then we'll talk with this property owner to see if we can, does he have in that field, is it alfalfa? Is that what it is?
Yes.
So really, if we can get in there in the spring when it's not wet, that's when we do our less damage, and coordinate to see if we can't get, now Heber Light and Power usually subcontracts that out.
They do.
So if someone else is doing that and they're willing to fight those issues because they've got enough money in their contract, maybe we can make this thing work.
Yeah. You'll want to
Okay,
talk,
can I try that?
sure, you'll want to talk to Harold.
Okay.
That'll save you a lot of footwork.
Okay.
But I mean, we got monies that we're gonna have to spend with this new fire thing that we're adopting. So we do have funds that, I mean, there's a prime example. That thing catches on fire and heads up the mountain, guess what?
They already had the cross arms burned off of that one pole that time. And I just happened to see it by a fluke. I was down there and I looked back and I'm seeing this smoke and sparking going on. And the tree branches were up there at the time, were still touching and it was arcing there. But a couple of days earlier, it had burned the cross arms off the pole. So they replaced that one pole, put another one right next to it, and left that one pole in there because some of the phone lines were attached to it. But for the record, I know that the guys at the power company do have boom trucks, bucket trucks, and chainsaws, and they will trim if the tree company that contracts with them can't or won't or hasn't done it. So I know that guys from the power company itself, even if the tree company doesn't want to do it, can come out and get it done. So there's a couple of different avenues open on that.
So is there a possibility that could be put underground?
Anything's possible, you know, with enough dollars.
You got that creek in
Yeah, and you have
the,
a
I think I'd
federal
rather,
easement down that fence line too.
well, we'll try that approach. And maybe right after the first cut is the time to get in there.
Well, they usually go in and fertilize too, so they're driving on that early in the spring. So if it dries out enough, then we can get a truck in there, I think.
I don't think we're gonna be dry this year. I think we're gonna have that same problem we had in '83, Eric.
I think we should look for right after the first cut.
Yeah, see what's, well, the power company should have the ability to put the pressure on their tree guys.
Okay.
So they can't more than us.
If one of those fuses was $3,000, we probably wouldn't have a problem, because they don't want to replace those that often.
Well, maybe.
But I think they're only $10, so we gotta find a way to motivate them.
Yeah.
Wish me luck.
Wish you luck.
Yeah, I think we could, and like I said, we have some funds that we're gonna be spending anyway, regardless to do our part of this. And we'll talk about that tonight, I'm sure, so you'll see how that works. It's quite interesting. Okay, any other Daniel municipal water issues?
No, just Storm Haven.
Okay, so that's the next one.
We have a customer that we've got to enter his property and take a hydrant out of a stop and waste. It's not metered. And we have to have all of this water metered. I mean, it's a must. And the usage that goes on up there in the summer is quite a bit higher than any of us anticipated. But right now, I would consider this individual as hostile towards the town, and especially me.
Okay,
So,
be nicer.
well, I tried.
Okay. Okay,
Can't you just be nice?
Right now, we have put a meter on the
Nice
tap
like
and
me.
he's removed it.
he is removed.
Oh, wow.
We have worked with him where we'd have a double set of locks on the gate, and he got rid of those and had his own. So my recommendation is I'd like to see the town put a letter out to him. I'd be happy to help in any of those ideas. But we need to notify him that that stop and waste that's not metered is coming out.
Okay.
And also that we need access into that property.
Is it a stop and waste or is it a yard hydrant?
What's the difference?
Stop and waste is actually a valve where you can turn it halfway and it drains off the system and bleed the water back out.
It's a stop and waste.
If it's a hydrant, it comes up on top and you can,
Well, it's got the hydrant on it, but at the bottom of it, it's got the hole in it that lets the water out.
right,
But
the
that's
stop and waste goes halfway and then it drains out the side. John's
Oh, then it's,
got a couple of them.
Eric knows all about mine.
okay, then it's a hydrant. You'd call it a hydrant.
Yeah,
It's not metered.
and so that's not metered, he's taking the hydrant. Okay, so Gary approached me about the lock situation, and I said, cut the chain, leave his lock hooked, and then hook our lock away from his lock, so you're not double locked. Your lock's over here, his lock's over there. That always gives us access. And so you'll have 3 links between them.
He took the lock, he took our lock.
Right. That's what I understood. So and Gary said he was gonna do that. I don't think that must not have happened, huh?
I don't know, I haven't talked to him.
Because if we separate that by 3 links, then you don't have a lock interlocked with his lock. He has his lock, we have our lock.
So do we have a right of way there that we can actually do that? I mean,
Well, we have the water lines going through, so yes.
so because the town or the place's water line goes through there, we can come in and access that line however.
Yeah, and if we need 30 days to do that, then we'll go ahead and get him cited for theft of services, and we know where he'll be there for 30 days. That's why we do that.
Well, it really seems like we could work peacefully with this, but maybe not.
Well, Don't ask him.
Yeah.
Uh, The water manager, Gary Walton, with the sheriff, went to his home and they made a deal that if I don't come on the property, he'll work with the town of Daniel.
Great.
But he didn't do that.
Oh.
Just till the sheriff left.
All I know is I won't go on his property, but there's other people in the town that can. And if we hire a contractor, but we do need to get out because that is an unmetered hydrant and it's watering 8 acres of grass on the sunny side.
So where did the meter go, Kim, that we installed? Just
Pardon me?
gone, the meter? Well, didn't we install a meter on
Yeah,
it?
but we just installed it up on the top of the hydrant.
Oh, up on the hydrants?
Yes.
Okay, so his claim is gonna be he took it until it wouldn't freeze.
Oh no, he took it off in July.
Get in before the freeze. Okay,
No, go
so
ahead.
So is there any way we can just back up the line to where it's on different property and cut it off? Or?
yeah, there's definitely a corp stop up there.
I've had 2 experiences with something like this. First of all, I worked for the gas company. And when there are theft of services, and they have a whole department that's an investigative, that they go out and they actually in stealth video what's going on. When they find it like that, they will dig up out in the street off of that person's property
Got it.
and cut the line right there, so it's not anything entering their property. Second thing, I had a tenant renting a house for me one time, and I don't know whether, is the meter, Kim, is it owned by the town, or did he buy it himself?
Oh no, it's owned by the town.
Okay, that becomes a different issue. I had a tenant who actually did a similar kind of thing, except he just got mad at the bill that he was getting, and he took a big rock and he smashed the meter. And that now becomes different than just a civil issue, it becomes a criminal issue, and he can be put in jail for doing that.
Well, you have a state law that says that if we have utilities on a person's property and we own that, then we're allowed to go in and service it.
Not just that, but damaging, destroying, or taking a water meter that belongs to the town is now a criminal act, and he can go to jail for it. I know that because my tenant went to jail. He smashed the water meter, and neighbors witnessed the whole thing, the police came down there. If he would have just smashed something inside my house, my property that I rented to him, then it was a civil matter that I would have to sue him. But because it was city property, he went to jail over it. And we're in a similar situation here, that we can actually bring that about.
Well, let me back up. What I wanted to do is get a letter from the town addressed to this individual and let him know that we are coming up April or May of this year, and we will be taking that hydrant out. We expect to ask access to the property. Can we do that? I mean, the letter from the town's got to carry a little bit of weight.
We may not be able as a town to take that hydrant out, but we can certainly cut the line before it goes onto the property.
We own that hydrant, we own that meter box. We've got the line.
Services the house too, right?
Pardon me?
It services his house
Yes.
too.
Yes,
And that is metered, or that's unmetered as well?
well, that's metered.
These are another one of those clean out hydrants they put on the system to clean out, blow out the lines. And they were not metered when they were put in, but I believe everything else is.
Water running all over.
Just bend it over so the opposite.
So- Okay, so I think the town should draft a letter. I'm in agreement, so they should do that before we show up with the sheriff.
Can we give him an alternative that says, you know, we're coming in and gonna remove this if you don't A, B, and C?
I don't want him working on the city water lines.
Or if you don't let us do A, B, and C? We gotta give him a way out other than just we're coming in and taking out your
Okay, the
water.
way out is we're gonna come in and remove the hydrant. And if you'd like to put the hydrant on the other side of the meter, that would be just fine.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we can put that in.
Just so he knows that he can solve the problem some way, you know, give him a way to fix it.
The problem is, you know, right in line with our, before the meter, so typically if he tries to remove that, he's working on our
But if we just put another meter there and left it, we would be fine with that, right?
Pardon me?
We'd have to dig down and sink down our pipe to put the meter underground, then hook into it. and then
Like you normally do on the rest of
Give
the
him
lines,
2
so.
meters?
Well,
No, I'm just saying that do it, instead of putting it above ground on the hydrant like you had before, we sink it instead of, set it like we would
Then
somebody
you would
else's
have
house.
2 meters.
Yeah.
You have a meter to that hydrant, you have a meter to
Yeah,
the
it just
house.
has to hook
I
onto
think
the
that's-
axle together.
I don't like that idea. I say go down, plug the hydrant, take it out. Then it's still going to his meter that's to the house. And if he wants to add a hydrant to it, he can do that anywhere he wants on the other side of the meter. But the meter would be the water would be metered then. And this is the guy that had 100,000 gallons of water used in 1 month. And that hydrant wasn't even metered at the time. And it was irrigating 8 acres of property on a hot hillside.
so is the water line going to this hydrant we want to take out the same size as what's going to his house?
1 inch or 3/4.
I'm
No,
just
it's-
worried, I'm worried.
It's a 2-inch, I believe it's a 2-inch to that hydrant, because it also feeds 2 other residents up there, 2 other meters.
So if he were to put his hydrant on the other side of the meter, would he still have the same flow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He could still get the same volume and the same flow and everything?
Yeah, no, he wouldn't, his volume would be cut down, because he'd be coming off a 2-inch line to a
3/4 right there. And then, of course, through the meter, which we don't lose a lot in the meter, but there'd be a little more.
And see, there's not enough pressure in that system to push that water from his meter up the hill. So it goes into a vault, and he's got his own pump. And then it pumps to his house.
Oh, okay.
And it's the same way with the other neighbor that's up on the hill. We simply do not have that kind of pressure in our system.
So
The
it's
2-inch line fills the vault,
So
so.
it's going into a cistern and then going
and then
on
going in.
John?
So I think he could get his water if we put the hydrant on the other side.
It's very simple.
Yeah, okay.
But what we need to do is get in there and get that hydrant out, then have the water metered, and we need access. And, should be simple. It really should be simple.
Will you draw them lines on there? I'm not sure how that hookup is. It's, as you understand it, will you draw that?
That's why I'll do it, as I understand it.
Thank you.
This can't be proved.
That's Highway 40. You've got one house that's up here. The gravel pit's over here.
Oh, okay.
See all that gravel?
North side.
And then here's another house that's on the hill. We actually have a third home that's down here close to the highway. And our pump house is clear over here.
That's the column in the,
One of the main lines that feed Crazy Acres, Tammy Lane, comes down this way. Well, somewhere, we don't know where this is at, we don't know
Right.
where the valve is or anything else. But there is a 2-inch line that crosses here in Highway 40. And then you've got the road that goes up in here as such. Right here is a vault. And this line goes into that vault, and then it feeds this house. This is his private vault. This 2-inch line continues over, picks up another vault, and feeds this home. The 2-inch line comes through, no vault, it just runs on the pressure of the system to this third home.
okay. You draw his meter.
His meter is right here,
Okay, and the tap?
and the tap is right there.
Okay.
You want me to enlarge that?
Nope, that's good. Does that help him?
Yeah, that helps a
So
lot.
would you put a handle on it?
Well, doesn't the meter, doesn't the hydrant yours? Is
Yes.
that Daniels?
Yeah.
Well, what the hell's the problem?
But you don't want to get shot.
But he has to provide his own power, he's already got that. That's your hire.
That's a good point, Kim. Doesn't matter whose meter it is if you're laying up
And
there.
by the way, the new Daniel irrigation line, the canal, it came through here, and we notified them that somewhere under that canal, we don't know how deep, was this 2-inch line. And I said, if you happen to hit that, go over to the pump house and turn the power on.
I left them instructions, if they found it, please call, so we can get a shot on it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to put, that'd be a good place to put a valve right there. But,
But they never found
They
it.
never found
never heard anything, and from what I understand, they've got it in. Isn't it in?
Yeah, it's across there, Ryan showed me, they pulled it.
And is it covered now?
It's not covered, they still have some to put in, but they're across that section.
We could probably call Aaron and Tracy to see if they, I'm sure they have some input on that.
John, will you?
What, you worried somebody will get a picture?
Would it be worse if I
They would
put
probably
my
know where
initials
it's
on
going
it?
to go.
Ryan says that he has it down to within 20 feet. So, and as such, that's how I painted it, so. We have a 20-foot wide pipe up there. If you want to dig here, you got a hand dig.
No pit.
Okay, so who's gonna generate the letter? Is that something I gotta do?
Kim knows what he wants it to say. I'm happy to help in the wording and then run it by you and or Chip and make sure it's,
I'd like the mayor to sign it if possible.
yeah.
She said maybe you could write it, is that what you said?
Yeah, the two of us could get together.
Okay.
And Chip could sign
And
it.
then run it past the council, you know, do that, Joe?
I think if you look at it and are fine with it, I'm probably okay,
Yeah.
but I don't know about the others.
I may overdo it, because I'll probably put in state code and everything else in there that
Sometimes that's good.
somebody may have to reel back. It happens to be a felony if you're messing with the water guy doing his official duty, so past the misdemeanor and everything else, there's a big club there. So,
Maybe you ought to put it in there, there's no,
And that's why my guy went to jail, my tenant went to jail,
so
because
there's
messing with the city water supply, that's what they based it on, he went to jail because he did that.
backs off, or lets this thing
But I mean-
happen, or, hey, go to jail.
are you worried about once we pull that out, a future leak there, or are you just thinking that we can just cap that?
Usually there's a T on that line and you put a cap right in the T.
Put the T in?
That's how most of them have been done up there. So I don't see that as a problem.
Right.
You know, you never know.
Okay, when we do that, let's put a stainless steel cap in that. Then we won't have any corrosion problems around the thread on that stainless steel, and they're right there on
Good
cause.
idea.
And we want to mess with that again, hopefully.
And then, go ahead.
So in your letter, you'll just make sure he knows that he has an option to put this thing on the other side of his meter.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Tell me about the irrigation shares and hookups. Is it one share
It's
for 4 acres?
It's 4.3 shares per acre is what the irrigation says that you need to irrigate with the Daniel share. Now, there's some discrepancy in that, but that's what their language says. That's what we based our code on, is what they told us at the time. It's 4.3. What the town requires is 1 share. And then what they do is they hang on to that so we can transfer that point of diversion to the well and pump it up in the well into the culinary system. Because at some point you won't have the water in the culinary system if you just keep selling. You have to get a water right somewhere. So right now, we're pretty good on our water right, but we have to be able to replenish that, and that's where the share comes in.
Okay, now tell me, why is it that Mr. Peterson had to buy 2 shares?
Mr. Peterson didn't do anything on our culinary. He hooked into Billy Beather's system with them, so I don't know what they required from him. But what we required from him was and we'll talk about that tonight also, but what we required from him was for irrigation. So to irrigate that commercial property, that was what those shares were turned on for. So there was a conversion that wasn't there for culinary because he hooked on to another system.
Now, we had some parties that hooked on to the system I believe there was 3 of them before the price doubled.
Yes.
They actually paid before the price doubled. I don't remember